How is it this hot in winter? Ugh.
This is Texas. Come on.
I know. Don't Texas shame me.
This has been really good for my cardio.
Yeah, no kidding. You were looking svelte.
Oh, thank you. All right, you ready?
You drive so fast. Watch out.
You know what? We've mastered the quick change, though.
Yeah, I know.
All right, ready to get sexy? Let's do it.
Always. Swoop.
All right. Hello and welcome to Talk Heathen.
Woo! Hello.
Hey, I'm Eric Murphy.
I'm Jamie Boone.
It is January 6th, 2019,
Season
3, Episode 1. We made it!
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I've got
Three seasons in. Can you believe that, man?
No.
Right?
I can't believe anything because I'm an atheist.
It hurts.
Yep.
It hurts.
And season 3 has now begun.
As usual, we are going to be splitting announcements throughout the episode so we can jump into calls quickly. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I want to just get out of the way at the beginning is that Godless Iowan was on our Discord yesterday doing a Q&A. We just want to say thank you so much. We've got some really amazing people lined up that we're partnering with, working with, and I'm really, really excited about that. Right off the bat, next weekend, No Illusions is going to be here in studio.
What?
So make sure you're here. If you haven't checked it out, check out any of the shows that he and the rest of the Puzzle and a Thunderstorm crew are on. Scathing Atheist, God Awful Movies,
Skeptocrat,
Citation Needed. They're really, really fun podcasts. They're crude, but man, they're fun. So I think we're going to move the rest of the announcements till later. As always, we are right around the 2/3 mark for the show. We're going to be saying thank you to our top 5 patrons. If you'd like to become a patron, please consider going to patreon.com/talkheathen to me. It's your donations that keep us going. We work in a nonprofit. This is a nonprofit. Everything goes to the nonprofit. So that's awesome. I'm kind of ready to jump into calls. How about you, bud? Well, any announcements? Anything for the new year? Any New Year's resolutions?
This new year is going to be excellent. I resolve to work harder, keep on surviving, sell 9 million.
Rock on.
Beyonce, etc.
I got you.
All right.
I'm resolving to launch my dang podcast.
Good.
And it should be coming up real soon.
It'll be out within the next 10 days.
All right. That's a thing. Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
I'll announce it on the next episode.
Boom.
So we'll just go like that. Jamie. Also, I've been going to the gym every single day.
Yeah, you have.
Except for today, because I'm here.
No, you didn't.
So, but that's really cool.
All right. What I will say is actually, real quick, before we get into this, before we've taken a call, in the YouTube live chat, which is always lively, which you should join, Deanne has just dropped 50.
Holy moly.
Boom, right off the bat. Thank
you. Yeah.
Damn.
All right. So without further ado.
Yeah, let's do this well.
Frode is calling from Norway. Frode.
Hey. How's our favorite Norwegian atheist?
Your only Norwegian atheist? No, I'm just kidding.
Technicality.
Well, I've while I do like you very, very much, Frode, our editor, is also in Norway, and I adore him as well, Chris. So Norway's just a wonderful place.
Chris.
Shoot, sorry, Chris, forgot that you were in Norway. Frode, how's our favorite Frode going?
Yeah, that's much better. How is he wants to talk about love.
Because two single guys are super qualified.
Yes, but I will probably cry a little, but happy tears. Okay, I promise.
Okay.
You can feel sad if you need to feel sad.
What's up, buddy?
No, me and my dad, we still don't talk. But I had a friend that said to me right after Christmas, that she didn't want to talk to me anymore because I was too much negative influence in her life. So I
sorry to hear that.
I mean, it got me to understand that a lot of what I call my Christian ex-life is still with me. Because I think as you guys know, that I was really negatively impacted by my Christian faith. It got me to do things that I didn't want to do. It got me to think in negative ways. It got me to almost to the point of where I could not pick up a spoon. And that's why when I got atheism in my life, I got liberated, as I call it. I got free of my shackles. I felt free. So right before the New Year's, I decided to open my Facebook account again. I promised myself I would become more involved with the things I do. That I would take more passion in the projects I set in front of me. That I would become a better person, not because God wanted me to do it, but because I wanted to do it.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
And I decided to join a dating site right after Christmas.
Ooh, okay.
I decided to be more open-minded, more happy, have a more happy and more positive influence over my life. I couldn't bear someone to tell me that I was a negative influence on their life, but I understood why she said it. I understand why she felt like she had to say that to me, because I was a negative Nancy, and I always used the religion excuse maybe that Jesus will forgive me. Like everybody says, like, yeah, Jesus will forgive me. And when I open up all these opportunities in front of me, I found love again.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good for you. Yeah.
Hey! Wow, January 6th. This has been a good week for you.
Yeah.
Yes. One of the best weeks of my life.
Good.
Hey.
Good. But hey, getting away from the dogma and
it's so hard.
Well, realizing that you're an atheist, just kind of answering the God question doesn't necessarily take out all of the ingrained habits of religious dogma. It takes a long time to get through. And on top of that, there's nothing about saying I don't believe there's a God that says that you need to be a good person. And the fact that you are doing that, the fact that you're taking that on and going, you know what? No, I'm going to be a good person, not because somebody is telling me to, but because I know it's the right thing to do and I want to make this a better world is fucking awesome. Good on you, Frode. I wish more people would do that. And I know that I'm very, very proud that the people who are watching this, our fan bases,
they're
followers.
Good humanists.
Yeah. I mean, really, we've gotten to see that from so many people.
Yeah.
I think it was because I had to have my grief period. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's like losing a parent or losing something important for you in your life.
Yeah.
Like losing God when God has been such a big part of your life for more than 20, 30 years. And being such an influence, you have to grieve over it. And I think I learned in the last week. I learned that I'm finally over that grievance period as well. I'm over the period of feeling sorry for myself and feeling bad because I judged people into hell. I am at a different point of my life that I'm not as judgmental that I was just 2 months ago. I'm at a different part of my life, and if I don't accept that and move on, if I don't do anything with my life and just move on with my life, I will never become the atheist I want to be.
Well, then you're taking steps, man, and that's awesome. It takes that actually going in and doing it. You know, you have to make it happen, and I love it. I'm so glad to hear it, man. That's awesome. And I did get your Facebook friend request. Yeah, so that was awesome.
And I saw your message. I just didn't know what to say.
Yeah,
that you are.
Yes, but I can understand, because I heard back on the 2 first shows where I was just yesterday, and I sound like a runic lunatic.
No,
so I understand that people were like, just hang up with this guy, but I'm just.
But we didn't, and we're glad we didn't.
Yeah,
I think I'm proof that if Christian people get through their skull that they are willing to look at the evidence instead of their feelings, they will find more evidence instead of more feelings. And I think that I'm an example of that this program actually works. So
cheers, man. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
thank you.
Thank you. And, there are people who would say, oh, wow, hang up on this guy. But what's funny is when you're away from it long enough, it's easy to think that somebody would be a troll or somebody would be,
right.
But the fact is, most religious people, they're not being dishonest, and there's no lack of intelligence there. What you have is people using the best tools that they know to use. And so what you're doing is sharpening those things. You're helping them with their epistemology, because you're giving them the best tools possible, and they come to those conclusions on their own. Actually, we just got a donation that says it really well from Shaving Den. Thanks for helping expand our epistemological toolboxes and showing the world that we're not evil Satan worshipers, but your friends and neighbors. Thank you for that $5 donation.
Yeah. And Deanne donated saying, that they're donating because we help people like you, and love you, Frode, exclaim.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You're famous just like us now. Whatever. We are also not.
We are not famous.
No.
We are just some assholes.
Yeah. There are a lot of famous assholes, but we're not.
Yeah, but we're just.
Anyway.
My question. Can I ask one question before I go?
Yeah, what's up?
Of course.
Because this is one of the things that been on my mind. I have never been in love before as an atheist. As an atheist.
Oh, okay.
I would. Yes, I have been in love before, but not as an atheist. Do you have any? For me, I see a difference between now and then, because as a Christian, I would be more, I don't know, concerned about doing things and saying things, and more, I don't know if moral is the word, but at least keep things cleaner. As now an atheist, is there a way of keeping those values, but not involving, like saying, I can't because I believe in God?
Yes.
You want to go first?
Yeah, when you look at the values of value and you decide that it's one you want to keep, I don't know if you want to throw out an example, but just look at it without the context of a God, right? Like being generous or kind or timely or whatever sort of level of value, just go, I'm doing this because I've thought about it and it's the thing that I want to do. And know that, you don't believe in a God, and if someone who believes in a God comes to the right conclusion for the wrong reason, at least they're doing the right thing. At least they have a good value, a value that you have thought about and decided to have for good reasons.
And
I mean, there isn't really a quick trick.
I can get a little bit long-winded on love. If you don't mind putting up with it for just a minute. Have you heard have you heard of Tim Minchin?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So Tim Minchin puts it in a way in some of his songs, and they're funny and irreverent, but the idea that if you're one in a million, there are 7,000 people exactly like you, right? That we're not so special and unique that we're unlovable, that we exist in this world, and we have these characteristics that we got to inherit from people who fell in love or have had sex and pass those characteristics on. We're lucky enough to be able to feel those emotions, and the fact that there's not a one that's put on this earth for you, like a puzzle piece that you need to find that you fit, means that you have a spectrum. If you're looking for a 1 in a million person that has a very specific type, that means that there are 7,000 of them out there that are maybe a little stronger, maybe a little faster, maybe a little smarter, maybe, are more into D&D or into BDSM, a little more open to spanking, right? It's open, it's available, it's out there. And the fact that when you do find somebody, here's what you do to make it special. Because in a world where none of us are that unique, the experiences that we create together, all of those moments, all of those shared opportunities to create a connection makes it completely unique, because the time you spend with that other person is something that you build into something that is just the two of you, or the three of you, or five of you, or however you want to go out and experience that love, but it's something that you create. And that is beautiful, and it is absolutely worth doing. So when you get back to how to be a good person or how to be a good partner, right? You are creating that. You're creating something unique and beautiful. And I mean, when you experience those feelings, you want to do nice things. You want to make the other person happy. And I think it's kind of awesome that you're doing it because you want to and not because somebody told you to. Nobody needs to tell you to think about them all the time. Nobody needs to tell you that you should be having butterflies, or that you should maybe go make a nice dinner, or whatever the case is. However it is that you show your affection, you're owning it, and you're doing it because you want to make that other person happy. And that's awesome, and I encourage anybody else, who is still looking, find that person that makes you want to be a better person. And or people who make you want to be a better person, because that's really awesome. So cheers to you, man. I hope that you have the most amazing year this year, and I look forward to catching up with you and talking to you on Facebook. Yeah.
And I mean this. I really love you guys, and you've been more help to me than you will ever know. You saved my life, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
We love you too, Frode.
We love you too, man.
Okay,
all right,
sorry.
Big hug.
Okay, big
All
hug.
the hugs.
Take care, brother.
Bye.
All right. All right, let's take Jordan.
Okay.
Unless you want to do a...
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Jordan in California.
You're on with
Jordan.
Jarek and
Actually
Jamie.
helped us test the phone lines.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Wow, it was so great hearing from Frode.
Yeah.
This is very nerve-wracking. I'm just going to get that out the way. You guys are the first ACA show I've called into, because you guys are just two of the sweetest boys I've ever seen on the internet. So, and you just remind me of all my friends back at home. Well, here at home. So,
Yeah.
Good. I love that. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that you have good friends. So,
well, the idea is
the
we can change that view.
yeah.
Being a good person, we can change that stereotypical view of an atheist and go, you know what? No, we are good people. We can be good people. We can be good neighbors and good friends.
The way you said that sounded like, oh, you view us as good people. We can change that view.
Oh,
and I
crap.
was like,
you're right. I wasn't even thinking.
Usually I make the jokes. No, yeah. I mean, really, it's, when the atheist movement started, it was, you had to shout to be heard, and now people know that atheists exist, and it's like, yeah, also, we're humans. So what did you want to talk about today, Jordan?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the overarching theme of what I wanted to talk about is I'm part of unlike many other atheists, I'm part of a religious family. I'm probably one of the more well-known atheists within my family, if not the only one that I know of. And we've had two fairly tragic events happen within our family. And and at the beginning of those events, it's been all like, oh, God will like pull us out or like he'll save us or protect us. And then whenever any good news happens out of it, it is like, oh, give all glory to him who answers prayers and all that fun stuff. Yeah. And it's just one of those situations where like, it feels weird to be in those group texts and be the only one who's not saying that. Yeah. And it's also really weird to like view these situations and for them to like give credit when the small good news comes out. But then when the tragedy happens, like my dog got bit like a few months ago, and that was fine, but that became a flesh-eating bacteria. So a $700 vet bill, which I was okay with, became $5,000. I'm like, okay. But after all that happened, and I find a vet who really likes my breed of dog, and so she was doing some things for free. My parents are like, oh, well, that's an answered prayer and all that. It was like, wait, why would that be an answered prayer? But why would then God allow my dog to get bit in the first place and me get stuck with this huge vet bill? Like, how does that follow? And then the one that happened actually this year, at the very beginning of this year, my niece, she was a victim of celebratory gunfire where a bullet fell onto her head. Oh, and like, she's recovering in the hospital. And it was extremely scary. And every text that I got from her parents was like, I was scared to read them. Like, thankfully, they've all been good news, and she's been recovering very well. But even when she's like started walking again and started eating with both hands, and people are like, oh, thank God for all good things come through. I'm like, but you let her get hit on the head with a bullet. Like, why? Like, I want to like talk to them about this and be like, this doesn't make any sense, but I also don't want to be disrespectful because that is my niece, and it's the niece that like whenever I'm over, she's just on me the whole time. Like she has a huge liking to me. So seeing her in the hospital, like I couldn't be there for too long. Yeah. But my big thing is like, how do you like approach those situations respectfully?
So I think there's a couple ways of doing that. Mostly I would ask, how open to these kinds of conversations is the rest of your family?
My parents are probably a lost cause, but the mother of my niece, so my eldest sister, she is the sweetest, most genuine person you ever know. All of my atheist and even anti-theist friends absolutely love her, despite the fact that she is a pretty devout Christian, because I think she just accidentally uses street epistemology when talking to people. And I've been watching Anthony Magnabosco's videos, so it reminds me a lot of conversations with her. She is just very genuine and just seeking to understand. And unfortunately, her epistemology has fallen into like the Christian epistemology or wherever. Yeah. So so when talking to her, like that's probably the one I would want to talk to the most, but she's also the mother of the niece. Yeah. So like I don't want to talk to her right now. That just seems like disingenuous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not sure that disingenuous is the right word. I think poorly timed might be better, but no, it's fine. Yeah. What I'm saying is sort of how much of her time and energy goes into involvement with her church, right? Like, because if she's on 3 different committees for the church and runs the weekly potluck, like that level of investment affects people's openness to conversations like these. Have you had a conversation with her about God or beliefs before?
Yes. And that's why I say like she's like extremely open to hearing me. Of everyone in my family, she's been the most receptive to me being an atheist and hasn't tried to convert me. She's always just been like, why do you believe what you believe, or why do you not believe more accurately? And she was the catalyst for me like finding out your show and like be like, okay, why do I believe this?
Tell her I said thank you.
So like, I definitely will.
Does she?
So she would be very receptive while she is involved in the church. She's not involved in such a way where I feel like she just won't listen.
Right.
She is one to update her views when I'm like, hey, the way you're coming to this conclusion is wrong, your understanding is wrong, and she will be like, oh, thank you for pointing that out. I will no longer think that way.
Dang.
Right. Yeah, I think you've picked the right person to talk to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so there's a couple of videos that I would point to that are actually what I think of in these situations. They're less friendly, and so I would say use them for inspiration, perhaps, rather than showing them directly to your sister. But there's one, it's actually, I think, the first video of any ACA show that I ever saw that got me thinking first, which is the analogy that Matt Dillahunty uses of God as a mafia boss, which sort of addresses original sin and salvation. And then it's like episode 723. It's Matt and Tracy. It's the either you have a God that sends child rapists to rape children, or you have a God that says, go ahead, rape that child, but when you're done, I'm going to punish you. If I had the power to stop someone from raping a child, that I would. That's the difference between me and your God.
That was a good mic drop moment.
Yeah, Tracy is really good at those, and I'm really good at remembering them. So it's things like that, and I would just say, particularly because people will shift their beliefs and just be like, well, I mean, God doesn't really get involved that much. Is it one way that people go when they have like a greater understanding that no, natural science can explain the movement of the planets and why hurricanes happen, etc. But if your sister still believes, oh, there's a God that's intimately involved in people's lives and directs the outcomes of events and makes sure that there's a vet that likes your breed of dog and is, whose heart is softened so that they'll do some of the vet work for free so that you can more easily treat the flesh-eating bacteria of your dog, miracle, then pointing out, well, actually, my dog was bitten and that didn't have to happen. There's a flesh-eating bacteria that my dog has that didn't have to happen, and that flesh-eating bacteria didn't have to exist. So, yeah. It'd be sort of like characters in Game of Thrones going, oh, George R.R. Martin, the author of all our stories, he's so kind and loving to us all. He's never put us through anything we couldn't bear. And it's like, actually, every other chapter, one of you dies. So, but I would say basically...
I've approached that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, basically, the problem of evil, it doesn't have a satisfactory, answer to anyone with a kind heart.
And that's a really, that's a good point. But it's also been, I've brought up something similar with not my sister, but with some like other people in my family, and they will immediately just be like, "Oh, well, that's because we have free will, or it's because of the original sin that brought all this bad stuff into the universe and such."
Yeah.
And so I'm just like,
so
go ahead.
I guess where I would go is number one. It really sucks that you're going through all of that, man.
Yeah.
But the fact that you are, I know it's something that I said in church a lot, but I cannot think of a better word than saying that you are showing grace. You are.
Showing grace.
Well, I mean, the thing is you are being patient, kind, and understanding, even when other people aren't being that. You're being understanding of other people's emotions, even when that is difficult. And the fact is, when you're talking to family members, when you're talking to people like that, especially people who are developing in, beneficial ways or helping people get to a place where they can start questioning the world around them as well, it takes a lot of time. There are very few people on this earth that you can have a direct discussion about the problem of evil or about epistemology and change their minds completely in a conversation. So if this is a process that takes years, then, just remember that, this isn't a sprint. This is a marathon.
Yeah.
And in times like this, showing that you care, and being that good person, taking times, just like your examples, which are freaking amazing, when you say, hey, that's really awesome that you asked that question. When you reward that kind of action, that kind of questioning, and say, you know what, that's a great question. I don't know either. Let's look it up together. Or any chances that you get to, do that, then eventually over time, they may feel more comfortable saying, I don't know, or let's look it up, or anything like that. And it just takes time and modeling. And
I see.
As far as right now, it's funny. I wish that I had access to the kind of community that we've been trying to create when I was more.
Yeah.
And I know that there will be more mourning in my life, and I'm very, very glad that I have groups like our Facebook groups and places like our Discord and Reddit, and it's just really nice. If you haven't availed yourself of those resources, please do, because finding other people that you can talk to and just kind of decompressing is important. Taking care of yourself is important too. And so check it out. We've got some really amazing people.
Excellent. Okay. Where do I find the links for something like your Discord and such? Is that on the website?
You know what? I'm going to ask our producer,
We'll put it
Mark,
in the
to
description.
put the open link to our Discord in the description for this episode. And if you go into the live chat, I know that one of the admins for our Discord is there. And so we'll see if we can get a link. I don't know if our live chat might not allow it, but we'll point you in the right direction, my friend. Go into the Facebook.
Excellent.
We'll get you there as well. So,
okay. Thank you very much, Jamie
Absolutely.
and Eric.
Thank you,
You
Jordan.
take care, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for taking it. Bye. Bye now.
Bye.
So I'm thinking 6531 or 6513.
I'm thinking 1. And we have a lot of atheist callers on the line, and one theist caller. So we do appreciate that a lot of atheists have called in. Please understand that we just can't take everybody who calls in that's an atheist. We're going to rotate some people out, and that just happens. I'm sorry. We can try and talk to you next week, but we try and prioritize some theists, and only having one theist caller on the line is kind of rough. So do you want to take 6?
Well, I was going to say, I think the order that we take the calls is as long as we get to them.
Okay.
All right.
Where are you going, Jamie? You had a choice here.
Hello, Demi.
Hey.
You're on the air.
You're live with Eric and Jamie.
Oh,
How's it going?
no.
We pulled you away. You were talking to our call
No,
screener.
they're back on hold. I think the call screener was telling them something important.
Oh.
All right. So in that case, let's take David
in Houston.
You're on with Eric and Jamie.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How are you?
Okay. Very good. Very good.
What did you want to talk about today?
Well, I was raised in a, as you've heard before, a really, really in-depth Christian religion called the Christadelphian religion. If you've heard of that?
Nope.
But
okay. Do you want me to summarize what they believe, or
Christadelphian? You said?
Yeah.
Christadelphian, like Philadelphian, but with Christo in front of it.
Oh.
Yeah. Give us a summary. I figured it's that.
Okay. Well,
does Matt Damon go to that one?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Matt Damon.
This is going to be fast and unfair to people who call themselves Christadelphian.
Okay.
So it is a similar Christian religion to most others, except for some what I would call subtle differences, what they would call gigantic differences. They don't believe in the Trinity. They believe that Jesus is the Son of God, not God himself.
Okay.
They don't believe in a physical Satan. They don't believe in a physical hell. They don't believe you go to heaven when you die. They believe that God's kingdom will be on earth. Yeah, after like a judgment, which isn't that uncommon. A lot of religions do that. Let's see where it goes. That Israel is God's chosen people, and in Israel is where the kingdom's going to be started, and judgment will be done. At that point, people who baptized people, I guess people who have a relationship with God will be risen from the dead and judged worthy or unworthy. Worthy meaning you going to live in this kingdom age forever on earth. Unworthy meaning you die.
Okay.
That being the end of it.
Okay.
And that is, they come to that through what they consider to be the truth of the Bible.
And what version of the Bible is that?
The Christian Bible, depending on which one, whether it be the King James or the NIV or the NASB.
They don't stick to a specific version?
Probably just Protestant.
Well,
Right, yeah, they don't stick to a specific version. You could get whatever Christian Bible you want. Now you could debate the versions in that church, in which they do quite a bit.
Sure.
My brother speaks Hebrew. He learned Hebrew just for that reason, because of translational differences between what our Bible says versus what the original Old Testament Hebrew says. Not that he hasn't learned Greek or Aramaic, but he uses, his Hebrew to translate and to try to consider what's the difference between.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the background.
I realize that's kind of...
That's all good.
Isn't it? Still not really fair to... There's probably a whole shitload more, but...
of course.
Anyway.
Just as long as the background is informing what you're going to say next. Yeah.
Truly. Okay. My issue is that I am coming out as an atheist.
Hey! All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that, like I said, I grew up in this church. I have friends in my family, and I'm sure you hear this all the time. Very, very difficult to do that.
Yes, it is.
I don't think I wouldn't be disowned, of course, but I would definitely be looked at as different. Not only because I've taught in these churches. Actively taught young people in these churches. I don't anymore, but I did. They don't know why I don't, but I don't anymore because of that reason.
Okay.
It's fair.
I love my father very, very much. He studies more than any pastor I've ever seen in my life, and I'm a devout Christian every day.
So your dad's a pastor?
Yeah.
What's that?
Your dad's a pastor?
Sure. In a Christadelphian church, if you're a baptized member, they don't baptize children. So if you were a baptized adult member, you could put yourself on a list, and in any given day, you could be a minister to the church.
Okay.
Just put yourself on the list. My dad's very, very good at it, and he does it almost every week.
Okay.
So that's why I say that he's basically the pastor, because he does it more than anybody else at that church. They have Bible schools, and there's different Christian churches that have more members and more teaching. But anyway, I have a few issues, but my first one is that he's old. He's an old man. He's an old, sweet man in a bow tie. I don't want to break his heart, but I also don't want to be dishonest with him either.
Yeah. It's you are not in an easy situation.
And I guess the question is, there's the cost benefit analysis of coming out. Is the cost of potentially hurting that relationship still worth coming out as an atheist? Because you don't have to. It's totally up to whether or not how you find that.
I've thought about that. The only issue is that me being dishonest about it is supporting it.
Yeah, and
I feel like when I visit my parents, I go to their church. I go to my wife's church every other Sunday, which isn't a problem for me. I actually enjoy religion. I'm not an atheist that thinks that religion shouldn't exist. If even if it's ignorantly, if people have some belief structure that may or may not be true, yet they treat each other good and they're charitable people and love each other, and there's a friendship group there that treat each other well, then that's a good thing.
It is, and
even if it's not true.
Well, because people are generally good. On the whole, people are generally wanting to just live a good life, find a community, find a place to belong, find people to care about and to build. And Yeah, I get that. There are some people who actually have messaged in and been like,
with it.
I'm sorry?
I'm at this impasse. I'm at this sort of impasse with it where I will continue going to that church to the point to where they tell me not to. And I don't stand up and say bullshit every time somebody says something that I find to be incorrect.
Sure. That's probably wise. I would not.
Yeah, I mean, I can disagree in silence, and if they were to personally ask me, I would tell them what I thought, but...
Although I may have a bit of a Schadenfreude response if I saw it happen, I wouldn't do it. But, man, this is a really sticky situation, and it's something that does not have a right or wrong answer.
Well, it doesn't have a universal one, and I don't think you're ever going to, like, when you decide what you're going to do, you're never going to feel like, oh, obviously, 1 + 1 is 2, right? It's a difficult decision. It's basically...
I would have really liked to hear you say the pros outweigh the cons, and this is why, but...
Well, so I can't say that because I don't know your life as well as you. However, I can tell you my experience, and I know that Eric, throughout various parts of his life, has been in sort of more... I think evangelical is probably the wrong word, but more evangelical, passionate, etc. Portions of the various Christian sects, and so might have more experience that way. But what I would say is, if this is causing an issue for you, sufficient that you have all but made this decision, but as I can kind of hear in your voice, but you're calling a show because you want confirmation that the pros outweigh the cons, I think at this point, you're trying to make yourself feel okay with a decision I think you may have already made.
Possibly. Well, here's the deal.
All right.
Is that...
Tell me the deal.
These guys study the Bible so in-depthly that the idea of, especially when it comes to prophecy, especially when it comes to prophecy, the prophecy is the confirmation stuff. They're not saying, I guess they wouldn't deny it, but at the same time, if you were to go to Christophian churches and listen, your proof wouldn't be in, we don't know any other reason, so therefore God. It would be in specific prophetic parts of the Bible.
Okay.
The
Nostradamus type effect.
Right. Dry bones prophecy. Israel becoming a nation. All nations turning up against Israel in times, and the enmity between Palestine. So the Bible says all nations will turn up against Israel. Well, except for the young lions, I guess.
And different leaders who come into power, and everybody goes, that's the Antichrist. That's going to issue in the Antichrist. Every time there's an earthquake, every time there's a war.
Funny you say that.
Yeah. Because it's true, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
someone did this thing. Obama's said this thing that wasn't pro-Israel, and therefore hurricane.
Absolutely. So I guess a couple things.
Things work under the realm of chance.
Yeah.
And there will always be chance.
David, you're preaching to the choir, man.
True,
Yeah,
metaphorically.
So it's not something I can truly argue against, other than saying, well, that just falls under the realm of chance.
So
here's another thing you can do, David. You don't have to use the atheist word when you talk to your dad. At least not the first time, right? Because if you go to a church that is anything like mine, atheist means Satan worshiper. And if you said, Dad, I don't believe, or Dad, I love you and I care about you and I respect you very, very much, and that's why it's hard for me, but I feel like I want to talk to you about something, but I'm afraid of hurting you. Put him in a position to reaffirm. Let him know that you still care.
I've hinted at that for sure.
And if you said, Dad, I don't believe, and the scariest thing to me isn't that I don't believe, it's that I'm afraid I'm going to lose you or lose part of this relationship that I have with you. Then you put him in a position to consider the fact that you still love him, you still care, you're not taking on these different characteristics that a lot of people give to atheists. From there, you can move forward, and, if he wants to talk or study the Bible with you, if you're up for it, it's totally okay to. It's, take a look at prophecy. How many times has this prophecy been said it's been fulfilled? right? How many earthquakes have happened? How many hurricanes have happened? How many times did they say? They said that Hitler was the the end times. They said that the First World War was the end times. They said that, I mean,
1967 was the end times.
And it just continues. And so at some point you can say, it feels like this is putting people in a place to be afraid. But those are all conversations that you can have in the future. But breaching the topic, if you think that it would be negative to say atheist at first, we're not holding your feet to the fire, man.
No.
I mean, eventually in time, when they can see that you're an empathetic, kind, and caring human being, then after that, you can, start saying atheist. And if they go, oh, well, I didn't know atheist, and you just say, oh, it just means I don't believe. I already told you that. Come on, really? Yeah, of course. It just means I don't believe. I already told you, then they can be in a position to be like, oh, he already told me. Mm-hmm. Oh, crap. Maybe I should ask more questions, but it's not creating this place of necessarily having this baggage that's baked in that says, I hate you, I hate God, I worship the devil. This would be a great thing to clip out.
I was going to say, yeah.
But because
it's going to be my ringtone.
Yeah, do it. But it wouldn't carry that baggage necessarily. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going from my own personal experience because that's what it meant to me, and that's what it meant to the people I went to church with. So could be different, but that's the best I got for you, man.
That's pretty close. That's about what I needed to hear.
So I would say just two things. One, you definitely have to call back. Sorry, but please.
Yeah, we want to know what happens.
We want to know. I don't want to miss the end of the story, I suppose.
I feel like that's going to be a kind of a drawn out process because it wouldn't.
Oh yeah,
my dad.
Well, it's not gonna happen all at once.
By the end of.
What I will say is, oh, sorry. What were you saying, David?
I was just saying is that, by coming out to him would just be a step one out of 150 steps. Because
well, you don't need to call us on every step, but we want to know that you're doing okay.
Call us every now and then.
Yeah, definitely. Keep in touch.
And I will.
Good.
You know what is sort of interesting about this whole thing is... That switch is it's not a choice, it's a journey. It really is a journey because there was no single aha moment that was like, oh, none of this shit's true, but it was I said, it's a very in-depth group of people who study the Bible and use different parts of the Bible to
we got you, man.
Infer that the stuff is true.
So
I don't mean to hold up the line, but
so what I do want to say one last thing before
we wrap up.
We wrap up this call, which is that in this discussion, I'm hearing sort of two kind of goals. Like one, it sounds like you've come to the conclusion that there isn't sufficient reason to believe this. You don't believe, and that two, there's a part of you that wants to be on the same page, belief-wise, with the rest of your family, with your father in particular, and that I think is
truly
blending with
it, damaging
with the fear. So what I would say is,
him or him.
Yeah. So I would say is step one, I would say avoid arguments about Scripture because really it needs. I would say maintaining the relationship with your father is going to be key to having these discussions with him in the future and key to, based on the way you're talking, being happy, right? It would be a bad thing if he said, well, you've, blasphemed the Holy Spirit, get out, right? So just saying, one, there are definite cons to, well, let me bring you in this room and sit you down because I have this big serious thing because it implies that you're a completely different person. Right, so I would say if you're going to have a conversation or series of conversations where you broach it, highlight that you're still your father's son, you still love him, but there's this thing that you don't believe and that you don't want it to come in between you and your father.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
that's a good idea.
There's that. And then if you can establish that, right, that's a good framework to begin conversations about the topic.
All right, man.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you.
And keep in touch.
I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate your advice.
We
We appreciate you calling in.
Take care, buddy.
All right, cheers, man.
You know, I always feel bad trying to move things forward.
Yeah, because we get good calls every time, and it's like...
Yeah, well, and the thing is a lot of people, when we talk to them, it's like popping the cork for the first time, because sometimes people haven't talked to another atheist. And so they're like, I learned all of these things. And it's like, okay, yes, but we need to like structure the conversation.
Say them all rapid fire, go.
Or you know, just try and move it in the direction of getting to a story arc and helping out and then moving on to the next call. And I know that can be tough. But we appreciate that y'all understand. But
so, do we want to do 641?
Let's go, Demi.
Yeah, Demi. Demi in New Jersey. You are on the air.
Hey. Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Was that Frozen? Let It Go?
Okay, erase that from your brain.
No. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
I don't have kids, so it didn't get burned out for me. And Idina Menzel sings it, and I freaking adore Idina Menzel.
I think you mean Adele Dazeem, or whatever it was.
Nope.
Harry Potter spell. I forgot it.
What did you want to talk about, Demi?
Really quick before we jump in, Demi, when you called in and we took your call on the Patreon content, it was incredibly powerful. Yeah. And we felt it was important enough that we released it outside of Patreon. Being able to have that conversation has been incredibly cathartic and helpful to a lot of people. I just want you to know straight off the bat that your call last week
has helped people.
If you haven't checked out the comments in the YouTube live on YouTube for that video,
I saw the video. I was actually I didn't know that people responded like that, but I was actually kind of annoyed.
Well, and that it was not a toxic waste zone, but a place of kindness, love, and support, right? Because the people who watch the show are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
I will say, now that we've mentioned the YouTube comments and that they're good, it's very possible that some people that like putting bad YouTube comments are going to go through and make a deliberate point of doing that.
Which
however,
no.
F the haters. Yeah, you're good.
I saw someone say that they thought I was high. I promise I wasn't high. I'm just an awkward person. I promise.
No, that's okay. Honestly, if you would have seen Jamie and I in the months leading up to doing Talk Heathen and practicing being in front of the camera, you would have thought the same thing about us. And I'm seeing it in the live chat that looks like there's some surprise. No, it was not a leak of Patreon content. I know it seemed that way because I said it in the video, in the description box for the video. It actually says that we, due to popular demand.
Yeah, we made an exception for that one.
Gave a peek.
Which is not to say that other Patreon content isn't also great, but
it is. But
yeah. So Demi, what did you want to talk about today?
Jinx.
Well, I wanted to talk about just like the damage and like just the whole. What religion does to, or what religious people do to atheists.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's just because that is a topic that we can talk about for 2 million hours. Let's talk about you.
No.
Let's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Something I've kind of been going through.
Yeah.
I'll talk about. So. When I never even really said the word atheist.
Yeah.
But like I stopped going to like I told you, like my family is like Jehovah's Witness and Catholic. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't go to church. I didn't go to the hall or anything. So it's like they just like send in an attack dogs on me. Like I would get battered like nonstop.
I'm sorry to hear that.
scriptures, just people reading scriptures at me, people like just telling me, oh, blah blah blah, that scripture where it says you're a fool if you don't believe in God or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
have you looked? I know you're in New Jersey. We've gotten some amazing callers from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked for atheist or skeptic groups in your area?
No.
You should take a look.
Do you think that would help? To have, I think, having a sort of support of your peers would probably be something helpful.
Let's maybe look at replacing some of that wildness and start getting you with people who are going to embrace you, care about you. If you are in a skeptic group in New Jersey, by the way, and you are watching this show, email us, mail@talkheathen.com.
Yeah.
I will read it. Demi, shoot me an email, and we'll try and connect you with whoever we can.
Okay.
Because that is really freaking important. Losing something, you need somewhere to land. And when you lose that kind of thing, it's losing community. A lot of personal identity comes from it. And so it's totally understandable. Mm-hmm. And it really fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to diminish that and be like, oh, well, talk about it in this high level way that removes the person. It is a really terrible, tragic thing to go through. And I'm so sorry.
Oh no!
Hello?
The call.
We lost her.
The call dropped.
Oh. Okay.
That might be Demi calling back. But
okay. Let's move on.
We can sort of briefly finish addressing the topic. I think, address it slightly more. You can never really be finished addressing the topic of. This is the fundamental problem is when you hold something more important than what you can perceive hurts other people or helps other people, right? If there is an alternative to that is more important to you, or that a third person, Adam, hypothetical, finds more important than the welfare of other human beings, then there will be times using that reasoning that Adam or you or whomever puts something else ahead of what is good and helpful for human beings. Right? We already struggle with that as human beings when we're like, oh, I just want to help this person. Sometimes we don't have the right answer despite our best interests. If you add BS to that, it gets in the way even more, and you're less able to help. And that tends to be what happens. And Demi has called back in.
Demi, are you there?
Hi, sorry, I got disconnected.
That's okay.
Hey. Thank you.
Were you able to hear us okay, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. So you were saying I should try to find a group.
Well, we'd like to help you find that resource, but we also want you to know that that you're not alone, right? And that doesn't make it better. It doesn't make the problems go away. The situation you're in is terrible. You know that better than we do even. But know that if at any point you just need to talk about it, like there are resources online. It's part of why the ACA does what it does. You can always send an email to the show, and our Facebook groups and all of our social media includes not just the two of us, but also all of our fans, and a lot of them, have problems with their family too.
And a lot of them in the live chat are reaching out and sending you love.
Yeah.
Please check it out. If you have trouble finding a secular, skeptic, humanist type group in your area, you can also call Recovering from Religion's Hotline Project. They can help connect you as well. We're going to keep an eye on our email to try and connect you too.
Yeah. Because we've had that. We've had an ex-Jehovah's Witness call in, and then it was actually an ex-Jehovah's Witness that was here live, and we put them in touch, and they I mean, I'm not spying on their whatever, but it seemed like they were becoming friends and finding a group.
Yeah.
And like, I know that's probably not something that occurred to you, but take it from two people that are deeply involved in a community in an atheist community, in a Freethought community. It's really helpful to have people that have your back. Because sometimes, you just need to get a sad coffee and talk to someone.
Yeah.
To any religious people who are watching the show, I just want to say, like, I don't know, if you have anyone in your family who's an atheist or just a non-believer, like don't look at us like we're monsters or we're lesser than. And like, when you talk to us, don't talk past us. I feel like when like my mom, she loves me and she accepts me for who I am. But even when she talks to me, I feel like she talks past me. Because if I'm having like a bad day or, I'm sad about something or whatever, she will say something like, maybe you should just read this article on JehovahWitness.com, or maybe you should read the Watchtower. Jehovah can help. Prayer is good and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And you know that she's coming from a place of trying to be empathetic, but it's so...
Her tools to do that have been entirely...
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. It's terrible.
I try not to get angry, but
it's hard.
Like, do you not see me?
Yeah.
Am I invisible to you?
And I just kind of, now I feel like I want to kind of add a little bit more to it. We don't hate you.
Yes, and I don't hate. I don't hate. I just want to exist.
Yeah.
I just want to play video games with you. Why are you bringing up Jehovah?
Yeah. Dammy, I hope that that you're able to get some connection. Have you checked us out on Facebook, by the way, or checked out any of our groups?
Yeah.
I think I found your Reddit.
Yeah. The Reddit's good. The Discord is good. The Facebook is good. The emails we respond to, but I really want to put you in a place where there's active community.
I wanted to email you, but I didn't know what your email was.
Oh, mail@talkheathen.com. And the other place that you can go, though, is on Facebook, facebook.com/
ACA Productions, Atheist Community of Austin Productions.
Yep. It's a private group, so you can join and you don't have to worry about people seeing that you're in it.
I think for this episode, we should have a link to all of our social media in the description.
For sure.
Yeah, because we promised that to a previous caller as well.
Okay.
I mean, what I will say is, I can't change your mom, and I can't change her mind. I can just tell you that you're not the only one that every now and then has friction or misunderstanding with your parents. It sucks. You know that. And it's frustration, and the feelings you're feeling are the natural and, to be quite honest, correct response. But it won't help as much as I want it to, but this won't last forever. No. There is a way forward. And your mother loves you and respects you and is probably
doesn't know how to share it.
Kind of, yes. When you say, is it like she doesn't see you? She can only see what the religion allows.
Well, and what's causing the hurt?
is the religion. And what I will say is, in a way, you are the best thing that can ever happen to your mother with this, because it gives her the opportunity to grow as a human being. And that's not fair to you, that your pain and feeling isolated in your family and your extended group and everything, a positive effect is that it'll help other people while it hurts you. But I don't want you to feel like you're alone or that you don't have someone to talk to. And the reason we're giving you resources is, calling us, I'm really, really, really glad that we were able to call and talk to you last week and that we're able to talk to you this week. We're not enough. Like you need support from a community all the time. And I'm sorry this shit is going down.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
big hug.
it's like they don't even know what type of damage that religion even just does to your mind.
Nope. No, they don't.
Even though I rejected this stuff so like I said when I was a kid, I just totally outright rejected it. But still, the whole guilt, the shame, and all the stuff that's the baggage that's mixed into it, I still carried that.
Yeah, because it takes a long time to set down.
Of my life.
Yeah.
Like
it's your parents. When parents raise children, I often think they don't realize what effect just even non-religious ideas that are repeated to a child can have, right? Like, I think it's Bill Gates has said every now and then he still feels guilty for not getting a college degree. And it's like, that's ludicrous. But it's a gentle, occasional, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. When it's religiously indoctrinated into you with an entire community and everyone believes it, it just amplifies the pain.
Yeah. Hey,
and
Jamie?
Yeah?
Mr. Shadow Kitty on our live chat just said, I hope Demi finds our group in New Jersey. She'll make good friends that understand critical thinking. Mr. Shadow Kitty, you better send us an email, damn it.
Yeah. So I know it's not, you didn't call in and ask for us to find you people, but we've decided to anyway. And hopefully that
when you have people who are approaching you and are doing that, finding other people to surround yourself with.
To have people that don't quote scripture at you when you're having a bad day.
But
sorry,
Demi, I hope things work out. Let us know if you find some, if you get in touch with people. Shoot us that email for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll keep in touch, okay? And love rings from the back. Producers and everybody in the back.
Yeah, and everyone here is pulling for you. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care. Big hug.
Hugs back.
Bye.
Sort of, it's one of those calls where it's like,
fuck me.
I'm sorry that shit is so shitty.
Yeah. So we've had great calls, but my head is about to explode if I don't talk to a theist caller.
One or four, your choice.
I want to talk to all the theist callers, actually.
Yeah.
So we have 3 people on the line. We're not going to take any. Carolyn, stay on the line. You're the last atheist we're going to talk to this show. Other atheist callers, try calling next week. If you're a theist caller, if you're a religious caller, call in. I want to make time to talk to you. I want to spend some time actually getting into talking about where we disagree and how we can get better at thinking about things. So if you're a theist caller, call in.
Now
we've got the lines open. If you're an atheist caller, I'm telling you now, they're not going to take your call. So, Charles. No, go ahead.
If you're a wannabe atheist caller, tell your believer, friend, family member to call in, and we'll take you next week.
That's right. Charles in Fort Worth.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You're live with Eric and Jamie. How's it going?
It's going good. So how's everybody doing?
We just had a couple really heavy calls that I'm sure you heard. So
yeah, my heart's sitting down in my stomach.
My situation is... Yeah. All right.
So
what
Charles,
did you want to talk about?
Well, actually, Charles called in before.
And
that's right. Charles, you gave a definition of spiritual that I hadn't heard before.
Actually, yeah.
So I guess the first question is, yes, can you
give us a
definition of spiritual?
What do you believe, Charles?
And then also, I don't want you to feel like I'm going to jump in with a gotcha. I'm going to ask you if you recognize that other people don't use that definition, right?
Like spiritual energy, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's common in the I guess you would say in the pagan community. Like we use that a lot because I was talking to somebody earlier, and he was like, he used the same terms, and I was like, well, that's kind of what I use too. I was like, so I guess it's common between pagans, but that's where I wanted to ask y'all, because what we might call like spiritual energy, or like Christians might call it the spirit or whatever. But it was kind of like what do y'all think?
Well,
and kind of clear that up.
Well, let's clear up first off. You, when you called before, had said that spiritual energy was electricity. And then I said, okay, that's a weird definition. And then you started calling it other things.
Like an energy and like a light.
And then you said, if I remember right, you said it's knowing things, it's not knowing things, and it's learning things. So it's everything, but not quite. Like, can you see how, like, I can identify a mug in my hand, and I can tell you about it, and not tell you that it's everything and nothing at once, which makes the definition of a mug useful. Right? If you can't even define it in a clear and coherent way, how can you begin to convince us that it's real? Right?
I mean, I know, like, when I had my near-death experience and I died and I went to this other place.
What does that have to do with the definition of the word spiritual, Charles?
But she was like...
Hold on, Charles. I asked you about the definition of the word spiritual. We can talk about your near-death experience after we're done talking about the definition of the word spiritual. Because what happens in these conversations is they go down rabbit trails and we never get anywhere. Right? Wouldn't it be better to finish talking about the thing we're talking about?
Spiritual is like an energy that's within you. Like we all have an energy.
Okay. Can that energy be measured?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that different than electrical impulses?
Probably so. Now that I did more research. Yeah.
Okay. How is it different from electrical impulses, and how is it measured?
Well, I know they can put like electrical devices on us, and that helps us.
But that's you just said it can be
different than what I was thinking.
Yeah, you said electric impulses is not it. So
yeah.
So using cathodes, using different ways to measure electrical energy would not be useful if you're talking about something that's not electrical, correct?
Yeah, I would need to know more about science, and I don't really know as much into the science and the mathematic part of it. But
so what has convinced you that it's true? And first, before we get to it, see, I'm getting down the rabbit hole again too. Definition of spiritual.
Yeah.
Right? What is spiritual, and why is it so damn hard to pin down?
I think because usually something that's like spiritual and supernatural, it's like from another realm, it's like from
I don't.
And like even though we have a little bit of it, it's just
a little bit of what?
We can't really touch it.
Touch what?
Whatever's on the other side.
What other side of what?
Yeah, the realm.
What realm?
Portal. The other side.
Other side of what? Charles, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Wherever the light is.
Where's you mean the sunlight?
No.
We have lights in this studio. Are you talking about the studio lights?
No. When you die, you go to a place.
Okay, so are you saying the place that you're saying you go when you die is the definition of the word spiritual?
No, that energy that is within you is the spiritual energy.
Okay, so how? So you just used a word about electric. You just used an electricity word again. right? What is energy, Charles?
It's like a ball of light, a ball of energy.
Can you understand why that makes zero sense?
You ever seen orbs?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've held glass orbs. I've played marbles before.
Yeah.
You know,
like a spirit orb.
No.
You mean like
have
in
you
a picture?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I would start by
have you
researching photography.
Have you investigated that, or did you just take on,
Actually, I used to go and investigate stuff because I'm a sensitive empath, so I can sense portals and like spirits and stuff.
Charles,
I've been invited to houses, and people have been like, "Hey, how do I cleanse my house and stuff like that?"
Cleanse?
And I usually go in there and I help them.
How are you? Okay, Charles,
Yes, sir.
I'm so sorry that it's coming off as me being angry at you. I'm angry that somewhere down this path of your life. Well, no, I'm just somewhere down this path of your life, you've picked up these tools that have led you to believe that you can find portals in the real world.
I was born unique and different, and I've always thought I was weird. And then when I understood that I have a gift.
Oh, Charles, that's because
when I figured I had this gift, I was able to use it.
Okay, Charles,
and I've helped people.
Do you recognize that everybody wants to be unique and different?
No, really, I am unique and different.
Okay, do you recognize that everybody wants to be unique and different?
No, actually, when I was born.
No, I'm not asking you about you. I'm actually asking you about, right? That's because you felt like you were different. Do you recognize that everybody wants to be special in some way?
Well, there is. I've never met anybody like me.
I'm not asking about people being like you, Charles. I'm asking you if you understand that people want to be special in some way.
Well, I understand that.
Okay, good. Now we can start somewhere, right? I'm not talking about you getting some magic powers. Charles, I'm talking about the cognitive tools that you use to determine truth from not truth, right? Because you are describing a reality that is so different from the reality that we're in that I don't even know where to begin.
So, well, is that...
I've been dominating. You go ahead, man.
No, it's good. I didn't want to cut you off. You were on a vein there. So, Charles...
yes, sir.
You're an individual, and no one else in the world is exactly like you. But people say, oh, no, I'm special, I have a gift, about all kinds of things. And sometimes they're wrong. So what I will say is, if we get to a point in this conversation where you come to the conclusion, oh, actually, I haven't been helping people cleanse their houses or whatever, I just want you to know right now that you are still special and still an individual and still capable of helping people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this view of the world should not be tied into your self-esteem or idea of self. You should be Charles first, and then beliefs that you hold about the world should follow after that and separately, right? Do you understand what I'm saying with that as a suggestion?
Yeah. I understand it's a little weird. I mean, if you probably don't understand me, then it's like how does somebody like him exist? And it's like,
no, I mean,
I was born this way.
to be clear, it's not you that we're losing understanding. It's the way you're describing existence.
We actually have somebody in the live chat who says that they can also help give the definition of spiritual energy. Can we pick that person up when they call in? Because it'd be fun. Sorry to interrupt, Jimmy.
Yeah, you're fine. So here's the thing, is there are magnificent and wonderful ways of describing reality, right? Like wormholes, black holes, stars, physics, right? Things that we can test and we find. And when we just describe like the outcome, oh, if I mix these two chemicals, I can make a volcano happen. If you didn't have any understanding of like a, you know what I mean, like a science fair project.
There we go.
All right. Although if you detonated a bomb, you could probably make one happen as well. But if you didn't have an understanding of how that would work, that would be indistinguishable from magic, right? Magic is something mysterious that happens that's just beyond our understanding, right? The mechanism of which is beyond our understanding, right? To most people going around today, even in the US that use smartphones or tablets or computers, that computer works basically just like magic to them, because having an understanding of how operating systems work and drivers and hardware and software and firmware, et cetera, isn't something that they spend their time doing, and they get through it just fine, right? And so trying to apply that same sort of go along, get along, well, I don't understand everything that I use, but I know how it works, can be problematic when we start applying it to things that are magical, that contradict the basis for common human understanding, right? Humans understand now, and I think you agree, that the germ theory of disease is the best way of describing how the flu spreads. So we wash our hands, we try and take our vitamins, we get flu shots, hopefully. If someone came forward before we had any understanding of the germ theory of disease and said, I think that if you stick this piece of metal in your arm, magic will happen and you will be less likely to get the flu, right? This will help your body fight the flu. If you had no understanding of biology, anatomy, the germ theory of disease, that would be ridiculous. And I have a very limited understanding of those subjects, and so it is. And so I place a level of trust in an understanding of the world around me based on very, very logical, stringent ways of examining the world. And if someone were to say to me, as they have many times, because I go to various parts of the internet, no, vaccines are dangerous and they cause this, that, and the other, if I wanted to respond to them in an educated way, I would go and I would find people whose entire lives are dedicated to the study and understanding of viruses.
Just don't do the vaccine when you're pregnant, though.
Hold on, Charles. What I will say is, and I would trust that my rationalizing things that I've seen in the world is not a reliable way for me to come to conclusions about how viruses do what they do. And if someone told me, you can have psychic powers, and I said, how does that work? And there wasn't a sufficient way for them to explain the mechanism for how that works, I wouldn't believe it. Right? Would you accept, oh, X, Y, and Z can happen without an understanding of the mechanism for it, right? Like doctors don't do surgery without understanding every single part of the anatomy, because surgery is very important. So I think that if you're going to fire a gun, you should know how it works. If you're going to perform surgery, you should know how the body works. And if you're going to say that you purge people's houses of spiritual energy, you should have an understanding of the basic mechanisms of what you're talking about, to the same degree that a doctor has an understanding of the nervous system. And I don't see that happening here.
Oh, well, I do know the tools to use.
What are those tools?
Cleansing the house, so, I mean, that, and I am comfortable in my craft enough to help somebody in whatever they need me to do.
So let's get this. You're cleansing the house of what?
Usually it's like somebody could have lived there before. Let's say you lived in a house, or before you lived in a house, and you moved into a place, and it just has this negative feeling, and you want it to feel.
Do you mean
light.
that I have a negative feeling about the house?
No, like yeah, you might feel like hey, the house feels it just feels negative, like it doesn't have.
Do you mean that I have a negative feeling about the house, or that the house is telling me that it doesn't like me? With words.
Well, like you feel like the house has a negative vibe to it.
What's a vibe?
Like vibration.
Do you think that things vibrate with emotions?
There's like let's say like I'm around you and I'm pissed off and I'm an angry person and I walk away. There's still that negative vibration that's around you.
Here's what I will say, Charles, is I have used the word vibe in a similar way to the way that you have used it, but I've used it as an expression of the way that I feel or that people feel in a situation, and not to describe an oscillation back and forth over a central point or a vibration. Because a vibration like a literal vibration in that sentence does not accurately describe the world. Like, do you see what I mean? Where like that's a use of the word vibe that doesn't actually like refer to vibration, or at least I wouldn't use it that way.
Well, we always call it like it's a bad vibe, like it's like a bad feeling.
Yeah,
like there's something like let's say somebody's sitting right next to you, and you just like, man, why is that person? The vibe I'm getting off them seems so like dark and
yeah. So
and
here's the thing, though. A synonym can be used. The impression of this person I am getting is this, or as I am, observing this person or aware of this person, I feel bad about them, or I feel threatened by them, or etc. But I don't think that has anything to do with literal energy or literal vibration. I think we're using, Charles, I think we're using metaphorical language to describe the complexities of human psychology, right? Like humans' brains do all kinds of wild stuff with very limited stimuli. And that's where I think this is coming from. Because the way I feel about a house happens in my brain.
Like there's like a negative feeling around there. You don't never get physically sick. I do. I mean, I guess it might be because I'm an empath, but
okay, you keep using that word, and I don't think that word means what you think it means.
I just can't shake it. I'll physically throw up.
Okay, Charles.
So yeah,
dude. Let's break this down a little bit more. Yeah. Jamie did a really good job of describing those differences. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to pick up that you are not just mixing metaphor with reality.
Yep.
But I also think that based on your description, you have a very different understanding of what emotions are, right? So an emotion is something that happens in your brain, right? Yeah. Rocks don't have emotions. Dead people don't have emotions, right? We have emotions because we have working brains. How can an emotion exist outside of a brain?
Because your brain and your body is connected to your spiritual energy.
How? Where? Does it plug in? Is there like a spot where you can be like, oh, there's the can I cut somebody open and find their spiritual energy?
When you die, your spiritual energy goes to wherever it goes.
How? Wait. Well, hold on a second. You're describing something, first off, that's ridiculous. But second off, you're describing something happening.
You don't have to believe it. It's
No. I want to know true things. Do you want to know true things?
Well,
do you want to know true things, Charles? Yes or no?
I learned the hard way.
Charles, do you? Okay, do you want to know true things or not? Yes or no?
But you never died and went to the other side.
You don't know me, do you, Charles?
You don't know me either.
So you can't say what I have and have not done and have had
if you died
experience
and went to the other side and met somebody like I did, then you would have been like, hey, I understand, I've been there.
Yeah, disgustingly presumptive. We've had people who've died who've called in and said that they didn't experience that. So you're wrong.
Then they went to the dark place.
No, you're just wrong. But Charles, let's go back.
Wrong.
Okay, I can actually show you. Right? I can show you these things. These are things that I can point you to and don't have to be there. I can actually say, go to a college or go learn biology. I could say, open a book about these things. Right? So hold on, Charles. Let's double back here because you need to describe, Charles, you need to describe what this ball of energy is and how you can tell that it exists before you can tell where it goes. Do you understand that? You need to actually show that it's a thing that exists in the first place.
And the thing is when I was dead and the woman was there.
Oh my gosh, Charles!
The paramedic.
We're going to go back, right? Because again, I'm saying you need to show that it's there in the first place before you can talk about experiences of it. Because I need to know that it exists before I start looking at what it does, right? So can I cut someone open and find a ball of light? Yes or no?
No, because it's an otherworldly piece of that we have.
Okay, can you demonstrate another world outside of this one? Show me.
The 9 worlds.
Okay, show me that.
There's Asgard. Let me see. There's Asgard. There's hell.
These are stories and books, Charles, but these aren't real places.
These are real places.
Okay, have you been there, Charles?
Anaheim.
Actually, no, I don't even believe you anymore. Honestly, I don't think you're a Poe, but I don't think you have the tools to determine fantasy and reality.
No, you see things only one dimensional, and actually, it's like 3 to 4 to 8D. You know, there's like so many dimensions to reality.
So I mean, let's. You're saying that there are these different dimensions.
Yes.
Okay.
Portals.
How can I find a portal and go through one?
Well, you can work on your meditation.
Okay, hold on a second. So actually, if I meditate and put a camera on myself, will I disappear, Charles?
Do you know how to astroform?
That is, whoa. So I've tripped balls before, not going down the rabbit trail. Can I go through a portal? Actually, no. Hold on. Why are we going down this rabbit trail in the first place? What is a ball of energy, Charles? You did it again.
Okay. When you die, then your energy goes.
Okay.
That's why
demonstrate it. Demonstrate it.
You can only demonstrate it if you die and go to the other side.
I've worked in hospitals, Charles. I never saw a ball of light.
But you notice when the life goes, don't you?
Actually, no, not right away. There are indicators that we look for to determine.
Breath, like the wind just went through
my
them
gosh.
and they're gone.
Yeah. Okay. I honestly think you're unhelpable. But I really wish you were. If you could find a portal that I can walk through, right, and not trick my mind into imagining, I will get a camera and I will drive to Fort Worth and I will walk through that portal and I will put it on Talk Heathen.
You don't believe anything.
Oh, no. I don't have to believe a thing if it's true. It'll just be true or not.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need to accept a thing for it to be true. Either it is true or it's not true. Find the portal. I'll bring the camera. I will drive to Fort Worth and walk through the portal.
You want me to teach you? I'll teach you.
Can you teach? Wait, I thought I'd just go through a portal.
No, you have to work on it.
Oh, you have to work on the portal. Okay, then how is that different from sticking your own head up your ass and just imagining it, dude?
Okay, let's be honest. You're an atheist. You don't even use your energy, your spiritual energy anyway.
Alrighty then, Charles.
Yeah, you go.
Charles, now we're getting personal, and I don't think that that's helpful or constructive for the conversation.
It's not personal. It's just
you saying,
it's just
sorry,
the
Charles,
truth.
let me just say,
Charles, let me just say,
the last thing you said was, well, let's be honest, you're an atheist. You don't even use your energy. That's you addressing Eric and not the issue. That's you saying, oh, well, it's all about you and who you are, and that's why this conversation is going the way it is. I think it would be better if we address the ideas that we're talking about rather than it inching towards
personal attack. Yeah.
Personal attack.
I'm asking what the fuck a ball of energy is, not who the fuck Charles is.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it's your soul.
Okay. You need to
what is
actually.
that?
Do you even believe you have a soul?
No, because nobody's been able to show that it's a thing.
Yeah.
You actually need to show. You saying, I want to teach you, but you won't believe. Do you think you should believe a thing is true before you actually determine it's true? Is that how anything works?
Well, you're the one that sees everything one-dimensional.
No, Charles, you're the one who said one-dimensional.
I know, but how are you to know that there's another world and there's other realities?
When there's evidence for it.
If you don't.
When there's evidence for it, Jamie got
Charles,
it perfectly.
Let's
Scientists are trying to work on it. I mean,
cool. And if they're trying to work on it, it means they haven't worked on it yet, and it means that now is not a time when we have sufficient evidence. That's how that goes.
And Charles,
when scientists are looking for life on Mars and water on other worlds, and we don't come to the conclusion, oh, there is life on Mars, oh, there is water that's liquid in other places, until we find the evidence.
The null position up until that point is I don't know.
That's a cool idea. I don't think that it's true until I have a reason to believe that it's true.
Which is the same as the soul.
They have made a lot of devices for kids with disabilities. I've seen some pretty cool stuff that they're coming out with.
I agree, and that's because a whole lot of people didn't take.
I think that's not having to do with a soul.
Actually, though, I think the methodology that gets to technology that you're talking about
would be a good one to look in.
Yes, because that methodology is counter to the one you're using and trying to espouse. Do you understand that? What technology has spiritual energy given us? Do I use I mean, really, can I, if I work real hard, can I do a Kamehameha wave? Just.
Well, you don't.
Can I kill people with the power of my mind? Can I levitate things, Charles?
If you don't believe or you do believe it, you do have it. It's you.
Okay, can anybody do those things? Can anybody in real life do a Kamehameha wave? Right? Can anybody create fire in their hands? If you work on
channeling your energy, then you could use it to do just about anything.
Cool. Find a person who can do that. If they're in Fort Worth, I'll drive there. Find it.
I'm an empath, so I can show you all what I can do.
Okay.
But what I've learned is other people in the craft they all have something unique about them.
Okay. You know what? I'm actually going to video chat you if you want. We can sit there and you can show me. Will it show up on video? Can I see it? Can I record it and maybe win a Nobel Prize or something?
You'd have to share it.
Yeah, I'd have to share it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can see it. I think I can only feel it.
So here's what I'm going to say. I think that Charles, that just for today, we're probably going to have to wrap up this call and move on. I'm certainly willing to get on the phone and chat with you again. I just don't want to, we've got other callers as well. Are we going to be able to get you back on the line?
Yeah, I like you guys. I just know that we're just, it's like we're like from two different worlds.
I think you might be right there. But I'm
so
I will say. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, that's the mark of a friendly conversation. You can disagree and come back next week.
We just have two different points of view.
I want you to have the best tools possible. And right now it frustrates me because you keep saying a thing is true and then you can't demonstrate it. And instead of giving us proof or demonstration, you talk about, having gone somewhere else and astral projected or died and gone to another plane of existence. And instead of actually pinning down and talking about one thing, you just shoot out a ton of other crap that also can't be explained instead of just focusing on a thing. And it worries me. No, it worries me, Charles, that you would use that as reasoning in your real life. Because if you're using that kind of thought in your real life, do you understand that somebody can walk up and say, "Oh, hey, this is a miracle cure. If you take this miracle cure, it's going to." Hold on, Charles.
What was that place?
Charles, if somebody comes to you and says, "I have a miracle cure. It'll make you live for 100 years. It costs you $20,000."
Oh no!
Would you give them that $20,000?
No.
But if they said it works, why won't you take it?
I want to be here for 100 years.
Whatever, something you want.
It will make you an even better empath.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to.
Because if that's the truth,
peaceful life.
I've got a mug of, liquid. Help me here. Super strength. Right? If you drink this, you'll turn invisible and you'll be super strong.
You'll have all
half an hour. Will you buy it, Charles? Will you buy my magical mug of liquid? Yes or no?
Nah.
Why?
Why do I want super strength for?
Do you think that think that the liquid in this mug can do those magical things that I just said?
Even if it did, I wouldn't want it.
No, I don't want you to tell me even if it did. I'm asking you, yes or no, does the liquid in this cup make you turn invisible and become super strong?
What do you think about that liquid?
Yes or no?
Well, I mean, they got like steroids and stuff like that, but I don't want any of that.
Do you think steroids are in this cup? And steroids don't turn you invisible.
I don't know.
So
you might be trying to Rupert me, man.
Or you might be dodging the question, Charles.
Yeah. So I think, Charles,
yeah.
Yes, no, or I don't know. Eric has a magic cup of superhero juice.
Da-da-da.
Yeah, he probably doesn't.
Okay, how did you determine that I don't have a cup of superhero juice?
What led you to that position?
I really didn't. I didn't care about it myself. I was like, it wasn't something I was interested in, so I was like, eh.
Okay, then replace that with something you're interested in. Do you understand why we're making this point, Charles? Because
I think we might be missing it, yeah.
Yeah, you need to be determining what is true and what is not. And just because I say it's true doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
You need to be able to develop a tool set, a mental tool set to help you determine reality from fiction. Because otherwise, you are going to be taken advantage of. You can be robbed blind by terrible people.
Oh, no, I say to myself.
You what?
Well, no, you said I'd be robbed blind, but I say to myself, I'm cautious with who I'm around.
In what was that movie, Guardians of the Galaxy? It didn't go over my head. I would catch it. You know, it's
Yep.
It's actually completely missing the point. We're trying to give you the tool set to determine truth from fiction.
Yeah.
What the hell does you keeping to yourself have to do with determining truth from fiction, Charles? Please help me here. I don't understand.
It's a miscommunication because he's responding to the other part of what you said.
Yeah.
So, Charles, the way that people determine whether or not something is true or false is critical to their ability to function in the world. Right? If a person went around evaluating like, oh, I have an idea, maybe unicorns are real. I have an idea, maybe if I jump off this cliff, I'll live. And for every decision that they were going to make about what they were going to do, they just flipped a coin and used no other method and listened to no one else. I think that you and I would agree that that would be a pretty dangerous way of going about life.
Unless they're talking about the rhino, they used to call the one-horned rhino the unicorn back in the day.
Well, no. So
that has nothing to do with what he said. Again,
to be clear, hold on. Imagine that I make every single decision for the rest of my life with a coin flip of everything. I think of whatever first two alternatives, a good one and a bad one, whatever, or any two suggestions that a person gives me. And the only way that I decide what I'm going to do is by flipping a coin. Do you think that that is a good way to go through life?
No, but there's some people that do that, as if you're superstitious.
So why do you think that it's not a good way to go through life?
Oh no, you're trying to live life by chance and just instead of going with the flow and enjoying life.
So what I would say is when a person is trying to make a decision about what they're going to do next, what should they do to make that decision? Right? Like I'm trying to choose between two things. How should I do that?
That's always my tough thing too. When I want two things at the same time, you just pretty much got to pick which one you want more.
Right. So you think about, how much do I want A or how much do I want to B to do B? How much I want to do A or do B? If I'm making like a serious life decision. So for example, I've gotten into 3 colleges. If I was going to determine which college I was going to go to and what major I was going to study, do you think that I should think about what I want to do with the rest of my life, whether my major is going to help me, how much those colleges cost? Or do you think that I should roll dice?
I would say overall, see which one's the best one that suits you.
You would evaluate which decision is better and then use your ability to evaluate those decisions to choose the best option, right? So what Eric and I are trying to explain is that if you're just going, I think you've said go with the flow, right? If you're believing things that are not true and you're using those beliefs to make decisions, if a person is believing things that are not true and using those false beliefs to make decisions, then they might make bad decisions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if you think it's something bad that you're using, but
right. So, like a person that believed that I always try to use a different social issue. If there was a person that believed that like race had a scientific basis, and the various different races that we've defined socially actually have genetic components, that's not a true belief. And putting more and more energy into that might lead them to conclusions about politics and policy that are based on that would be very damaging to themselves and to other people.
That might be too broad.
It's definitely too broad.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if a person believed that bleach was good for them to drink...
Get the fuck out of my head! That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yes, that's much easier.
If a person were to believe, well, drinking bleach is good for me, that would mean they would be more likely to drink bleach and then die from drinking bleach, because it's not good, right? So the thing that we're saying is there's a way to determine whether or not bleach is good for you. And right now, I think Eric has said it more explicitly than I have, we're not sure that you're using a very good method to determine whether or not things are true.
Well, I know not to put harmful chemicals.
How did you determine that it was harmful
in my body?
How did you determine that it was poisonous?
I've researched on it.
Okay, you should research everything.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Right.
Please
Well,
research.
like the supernatural stuff I can do. I've researched, and there's lots of other people out there that are kind of similar to me, but a little different.
Yeah. So there's something that you and they have in common, and think
that is that you all want to be very special, and I get it, but you have to show that you have magic powers if you're going to say you have magic powers, man.
Yeah.
And so, I'll follow up and try to see it. But if you're tricking yourself, isn't it better just not to trick yourself?
Like,
no, I mean, you should see me with animals. Like, I've turned guard dogs into little puppies.
Does that have anything to do with tricking yourself, Charles?
No, it's just my energy.
No, does your energy have anything to do with tricking yourself, Charles?
I don't trick myself.
Okay, there's a response. I had to ask you 3 times, and then you responded.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry.
That's okay.
They say third time's a charm.
Yeah. So here's what I will say is we do have
but,
other...
at least I got a sense of humor about it.
You do.
So Charles, I think you and Eric have said you're going to keep in touch throughout the week. Can we get you to call back next week as well?
Mail at talkheathen.com. I'll answer it. I want to get in touch with you.
Email, but
I want to get a videotape of you doing magical things.
So Charles, can we get you to call back again next week as well, maybe?
Yeah, I'll try. I mean, I know...
All right.
This year is going to be a lot busy, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully not every Sunday is busy for you, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let you go, and we'll get some other callers in here, and we're gonna do this. All right, Charles?
Sure. Just keep in touch.
Will do.
Good. Take
Thank
care,
you
brother.
for calling.
Okay. You know what? It's the first episode of season 3. How about instead of Patron, we just take the calls?
Let's take number 4. Yep, do it.
Hey, Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
I want a Kamehameha so bad.
I know.
I want to go Super Saiyan. Damn it. Can I just go Super Saiyan? Please.
I give you permission.
Yeah. But here's the thing. If you can't, then you can't. It doesn't matter how badly you want it. Doesn't matter how bad you trick yourself. If it's not a real thing, it's not a real thing, and it doesn't matter how hard you think it's true. Please. This person is one of many people who truly do believe it. You need to understand that while it may seem wild, the reason this show is important partially also is because you need to recognize that there's skepticism is there for a reason.
Scientific skepticism.
And that people like this do exist.
Well, so you say people like this, it's...
Yeah.
Under the right circumstances, anyone can do that. It's not, this person is born different or has a different brain. Or at one point, there was a little bit of back and forth chatter in the live chat about, I feel bad for suggesting this. Is it possible that his near-death experience gave him brain damage? No. His brain functions exactly the same way that yours does. That's not chemical. That's epistemological, right?
Yeah.
Make sure your epistemology is healthy, or you
may wind
claim after claim after claim, and you're saying that when you're on mushrooms, you can levitate the Empire State Building.
It's and also I also in reading the live chat, hey, if you have this epistemology, right? If you think this,
please,
and then you study it and you decide, you know what? I realized that the tool set I was using was not working.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you have the power to change and you have the power to grow. You know, if you put somebody in a box and say that person is incapable of growth, right? By, you know, saying that it's physical or something.
Being.
Yeah, then
don't do that.
Yeah, give them the chance to grow. Give them the chance to learn and to become better people. And then when they do, don't say you're late to the party. Embrace them, because there's a whole lot more people that we need to be able to embrace as well. We build up. We don't cut down like that.
Yeah.
But before we take the next call, I want to thank the patrons.
Yeah. What I will say is also, if you have that epistemology and you would examine it and you think, actually, no, I'm right and they're wrong, excellent. Call in, because if the epistemology I'm using right now is flawed, I don't want to use it anymore. And it would be, I mean, I don't mean to ask you, anonymous hypothetical listener, for a favor, but it would be a great service to me if you called in and showed me what was what.
Yep. So let's thank our top patron, Neil. Something actually happened with Neil that I want to bring up really quick because, well, actually what happened was they weren't getting their Patreon rewards.
No.
But they unsubscribed and then resubscribed, and then the Patreon rewards were there. So if something like that happens,
let us know.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, let us know. We'll do our best to try and work that out.
We're not here to...
I want to thank Nando Gonzalez.
Nando.
I want to thank Matt Meyer. I want to thank Joe Roll. And I want to thank Philip May.
Philip May.
Thank you so much for being our top 5 patrons. We very, very much appreciate it. Mm-hmm. It keeps us going. We're able to keep the lights on. This is not a private endeavor. This is a nonprofit, and donations to the nonprofit help keep this going. We can have a live studio audience. But let's plug that Patreon, patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. I also, before we move to the next call, want to say Colonel Phil announced that his grandson is going to be due in May.
Ooh,
Colonel Phil, we miss you and we love you. I'm so happy to hear it.
We're happy to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely, man. All right.
Yeah.
Jamie, who are we taking next?
Maybe I should decide with a coin flip.
Nope. We're going to take Caroline.
All right. Caroline from Las Vegas.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Guys, how are you guys doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, because I had to change phones. I was listening on my landline, and it's kind of like going dead, so I had to go get my other phone.
Dang.
So if it's kind of sketchy, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Anyway, I'm really glad to be like maybe the second to the last caller. I was very interesting this show. You guys really had a lot of ups and downs.
Yep.
Yeah, we do.
Yep. We had some down, sideways.
Oh man,
what?
I was like listening, man. I was like, oh, you poor guys. All I can say is, and breathe, okay? Because now you guys got probably the last to the best caller, and I can just say I'm the plucky comic belief. Okay? I'm going to make you happy.
You're going to replace me on the show, aren't you?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Jamie, you're irreplaceable. Caroline, you seem great, but Jamie's my best friend. Sorry.
What did you want to...
I know. I understand. But I just want to make a shout-out to the guys that called before me. Mm-hmm. Frode is his name.
Frode.
Yeah. He's on a quest to find love. Man, I wish him all the luck in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of women out there.
It sounds like he found it. It sounds like he already found a relationship, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But then again, when you live in a country that has a much better rate of non-belief and more
Oh, yeah, they have a better tolerance of it than we do here in the United States. Definitely. For sure. Yeah, that's our heaven, you know. Is living in Amsterdam or somewhere, you know.
Right. But what would you want to talk about?
The second caller was Jordan, and I really feel for him because his father and him, I know he loves his dad. I can hear it in his voice, you know.
Me too, yeah.
And this is a big turmoil for this young man, you know, and I really feel for him. But, you know, all I can tell him is a motto I used to go by when I was getting out of an abusive marriage was, where there's a will, there's a way out. And the same goes for Demi, okay? Where there's a will, there's a way out. Like you were talking to these two people, and they're so, you know, when you're young, you're emotional. I mean, I'm 61, okay, and I've raised 4 kids and grandkids and been around a lot of young people, you guys' age and stuff, and it's like I see the turmoil young people are going through now because their world is not right and they don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And the wrong people are not where they're supposed to be, you know, and they're trying their best to do the moral and the right thing, and it's just confusing, and it hurts, and especially when it involves family. I know, been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
And what we're really trying to do is say that you can't do it alone, and we need to fix it together.
No, you can't.
So
You can't. And,
yeah.
you know, I just wanted to call up, and my major thing was Mr. Charles there.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done that, done what he did, outgrew it, went the opposite way, and now I'm sane. Okay.
Well,
So
no, he's
sane.
He's sane. Sane is a clinical term.
Yeah, he's just very wrong about the world. What I will say is, Caroline, did you have a near-death experience, and that's what prompted you?
Yes, I did. Remember I told you last week
That's
I was
right.
going to tell Charles. Yes, because when you were saying to prove it, I can prove it. I can actually prove it. I have the medical records to prove it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's like there is, he says, what did he tell you?
They were about to put the sheet
darkness?
over or something. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going into darkness is what I think I heard him say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think he said
like,
the
it
darkness,
is like
but-
darkness.
Yeah.
So
Well,
in the live chat, there's a little bit of confusion. Carolyn has been waiting this entire episode to talk.
I don't know how much time I have, guys. I know you guys, are on a timeline here.
But you had a
just wanted to
question.
point out.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I did, because you guys saved my butt, okay?
Woo! Yay!
I was really
Happy to help.
scared last week because I didn't know if anybody from my church was listening in, because I have a couple of the younger pastors that listen into atheist talk shows.
Really?
Okay? I saw it when I walked into his office, and he had his computer screen up, and he was watching, I think it was the Atheist Experience.
Nice.
I'm not saying he's spying or anything, but I'm thinking maybe they want to try to understand.
Which is awesome.
Well, I mean, they should
Guys,
be.
who you guys are, you know? And they're trying to look at it from a point of love. I'm not trying to waste any time. My question is, I came across some pastor notes, and it really bothers me regarding chapter Psalm 1.
Is that the happy is he who doesn't look into it?
Happy or blessed is he.
Yeah.
He doesn't sit in the seat of scorners and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Advice of the wicked, or stand in the pathway with sinners, or sit in the
Exactly.
company of mockers. The opposite of what the New Testament says Jesus did. Cough, cough.
Yeah.
Right, yes. Yeah, and so let me bring it here. I had it up. Hold on.
I have it as well. So it's.
So what his yearly thing this year is I'm not. He just posted this. It's a new devotional that he puts in, reading Psalm 1, and it goes, "What a great reminder for a brand new year. What should I avoid? I need to avoid the counsel of the ungodly. In other words, people like us, and around us everywhere on television, iPad, iPhone, news media. If I am surrounded with ungodly counsel, I will get depressed and frustrated, and I will not thrive. The second reason is I need to avoid standing in the way of sinners. I need to live my life differently than they live their life. I need to avoid sitting in the seat of the scornful. Scornful people mock me when I determine to live the way God wants me to live, because they think that atheists despise people like them. My pastor has preached stuff like this in the church congregation before, and I think it's hate speech. He also preaches against homosexuality. He thoroughly believes that homosexuality is a sin, as it says in Leviticus, and also in the New Testament. He is like, I was like Jamie was talking about earlier when he was talking about you're sitting in the congregation and you're looking at the person next to you and like, is he serious? You know, and you want to get up and leave because you don't believe what he just came out of his mouth. And now I'm reading what he's posting here, and it says, the promise to the ungodly, they will be like the chaff, unstable, blown to and fro from the wind. And then he's talking about how we're going to be a tree planted by rivers of living water that brings forth fruit, and we will prosper. It's like, how are you going to prosper by posting hate speech on Facebook like this?
That's the basis of Living Waters Ministries, actually.
That's where that's from. Okay.
So, you know, the funny thing is, I really do hope they see this, because what's funny is the phrase, sunlight is the best disinfectant, right? Mm. There's nothing that we can do to make a thing untrue or true. Yeah. You know, a thing is true, completely independent of our opinion of it. And it really is tough to see when people instead don't embrace learning when something is false. I mean, and to be fair, people do. They shy away from it. They go, this makes me uncomfortable and makes me feel bad. This must be the Lord getting involved. In reality, right?
Yeah, it's what
in reality,
it's just a way of reassuring yourself to random conclusions that you come to, often for bad reasons.
Yeah.
Jesus.
What really happens is every time you are experiencing a time of growth, every time you're challenged and are looking at growing in your knowledge and understanding of things, it is uncomfortable all of the time. It is really uncomfortable, because it's uncomfortable when you learn that you're wrong. You don't want to be. Nobody wants to feel like they were wrong about a thing.
Yeah.
But what's funny is we need to try to learn to make that happen, because I would much rather face that uncomfortability of being wrong, and then learn from it and grow. And so a huge amount of it is a cultural thing. And even for people who are atheists in the closet, who can't speak out, this is a great thing you can do. Here is a great tool that you can help give people, and that is embrace correction.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is why I research. I'm big on education and research, you know. I may not be a really high educated person, but I do like to read a lot of books and research a lot of things, especially when I don't believe what that person is saying. And I think what initially started my doubt, okay, because I was like a stone cold hard believer, okay?
Sure.
I was getting ready to accept all of the doctrines this church was getting ready to put on my mind, which also included the subservience of women in the church, which I've never been a believer in, ever. I love women. Not that way, but I love women because I love the way they stand up for their rights, okay? And they need to do that more often, because we are getting screwed every which way. But anyway, the other thing is that I just couldn't believe in the doctrine. And the thing that got me was, and another thing is another thing, about a year ago, my husband and I went through this course called Continue. And it is called, it's like an indoctrination into the church, because we're disciples now. We've been members for a long time. The church wants us to be a little bit more on the in crowd, I guess. I don't know. But to me, it was like repetition. And by the time we got done with the course, which was 4 months, my brain was like, this is all it is. And it's like, you know how if you've ever, nothing against anybody who's been in Scientology, but if you've ever been in like an audit or anything, or you go through the motions and you finally look at your person after you've gone through the clear stage and say, is this all there is to it? This is it.
Yeah. And
it's like, I looked at my husband and said, we need to get out of here. Because they were definitely quoting a lot of things in there that I did not agree with. And I'm like, I don't believe in this, and that's what changed me. And then I started getting angry, because I'm looking around and I'm seeing all the hypocrisy, and I'm looking at everything. And it's like, when you initially get saved and you initially get baptized, total immersion, and you are like in a church with all of these loving, kind people, you're not loving and kind.
Well, they think they're being. They think they are.
They think they are until you get outside the circle and off the parking lot and outside in the street. And then you see what their true colors are.
Yep.
If I was to pass them on the street or look at them at Walmart, they wouldn't even say hello to me.
Yeah.
Now or then?
Here in Vegas, okay? We've got walls up everywhere. If you go, I know you've been here, Eric, okay? Have you ever been to Summerlin?
I have.
In the northwest part of town. I don't know if you know us that well.
No, I know exactly where Summerlin is.
Okay. Then you know that it's like rats in a maze because there's walls everywhere.
Yeah, and it's like a literal maze, too. It's confusing as hell.
I've been here 45 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yes, Summerlin's actually really nice.
My husband is Christian, okay, just to make this fast. So another thing is you're dealing with a Christian spouse.
Yeah.
And I'm basically an atheist now. He understands this. We've been married for 30 years. You know, it's like, okay, the wife is changing again. Let's go with the flow, you know. But it's not that way. He and I have little discussions. In fact, we have the discussion about me not going to church today, which leads me into the next question. Because you guys saved me, where do I go from here? Who do I get in touch with in Las Vegas?
Ooh, there is an awesome atheist group in Vegas.
Yeah.
I was there over the summer. And
are there seminars I can go to, or, you know...
give them a shout. They're on Meetup. I met them, and let's see. I think the trip from Summerlin to where we met, I think it'll probably be a 20, 25-minute drive. It's really not that far away where we met.
No.
Really awesome group. Please check them out. They were incredibly gracious when they hosted me this summer for a meet and greet. And definitely make sure you get in touch with them because I'm going to be in Las Vegas again in July, and I'd love to meet you.
Oh, I know. I would like to meet you too, Eric. Sure would. I don't know if Jamie's coming with you or not, but if you do come, Jamie, I know some great places we can go. Have you ever been to the Mob Museum? The Mob Museum here?
I didn't know they had Las Vegas would be the best place for it.
No, we're going to go to Thunder Down Under.
Sure, but this Mob Museum, excellent.
Yeah, if you want to learn all about the corruption here, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You talk to anybody who's been here.
I'm not sure I've mentioned that on the show. You might just be very perceptive or very lucky as far as knowing that would pique my interest immensely.
What? The mafia?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm not that much of an enigma, but I don't think I mentioned that at one point I just checked out the Encyclopedia of the Mafia.
Let me see. Tony Spilatro.
But this is. See, now we're gonna go to Vegas together.
Yeah,
let's go to Vegas, Jamie.
Vegas.
Let's tour. Let's tour and do live shows around the United States.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And then how about we tour and do live shows around the world? How about that?
I think that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's our Patreon support. It's our patron support. We're gonna get there.
It.
It's gonna happen. Just a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time.
Crazy.
Hey, this is how we do it.
One more thing.
What's that?
Right.
One more thing.
What do you got, Caroline?
One more thing. I have one more thing I need to talk to you guys about. That's kind of crazy. I was noticing something else. I was scrolling past my prayer group. I'm not going to say anything about it, but it's like the only thing I will tell you is that this one person was telling the other person, because they have a kid, the other person was giving her advice about Adam and Eve. She says she wanted to know how Adam and Eve grew a human race, basically. Okay, this person told her the first people had better genes because they were less affected by sin. Closer to Adam and Eve's gene pool.
Oh, I heard that one, actually.
They lived longer, over 100 years, so there were many children. There weren't any set laws against marrying your siblings at that time. They got that from Ken Ham.
Incest.
Well, they also got that from the text of the Bible.
That's that's woof.
So is that? Sorry, I'm waiting for like the extra one too, because there's like
you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
The other shoe was I attacked this woman online, and
Okay.
she is part of my church. And I was like, what did I just do? I was like watching Eric grab the mic and like standing. I'm like, what are you talking about? No, that's not what it's about. No, that's not it. That's not it. And I'm like, I just did that to her, and I got one guy telling me, you need to study street epistemology.
Yep.
So I'm asking, what is it?
Ooh.
Oh, what is street epistemology?
Yeah.
All right, so it is very Googleable, and I think the most prominent, well-known practitioner of street epistemology is a man named Anthony Magnabosco, who actually lives here in Texas in San Antonio. He has his own YouTube channel where he has videos of him talking to it, but basically it's a method that was developed for talking to people about what they believe and why that's more
Socratic.
friendly and direct. It's more clinical is the wrong word, therapeutic is the wrong word, but along those lines, right? So what we do on these shows is in large part for an audience. But if you're talking specifically with an individual person and you want to affect that individual person, it's best to talk about why they believe what they believe, and this approach is often more helpful, right? So I'm not sure if you watch other ACA shows, but Truth Wanted, which is on Fridays, is hosted by Dan, who was one of the parts of his deconversion. One of the key parts was that he talked to Anthony Magnabosco, and Anthony was using street epistemology to prompt him to think about what he believed, and it's a very good method. So the book that in which this method is exclaimed is called A Manual for Creating Atheists by Peter Boghossian. And it really goes in depth. It's very well researched. It has research from, cult deprogrammers and all kinds of cognitive therapy and examination in 25 years of Mr. Boghossian trying it on his own without a YouTube channel, and then Anthony picking up the reins from there. It's very good. There's lots of support groups online of, hey, I want to start doing street epistemology, help me out. And we can definitely help put you in touch with people that practice it.
Yeah. Also,
I don't like attacking people. I'm not like a what do you call it? I'm a funny individual sometimes. I take humor, I take situations, try to make humorous, but sometimes that's offensive. So I don't try to do that too often. Well, except here, maybe, I don't know.
You know, what's funny, Carolyn,
this is the right place for
that,
it.
In A Manual for Creating Atheists, Boghossian actually is pretty intense. He is unapologetic about the way he feels about religion and the damage that it does. But at the same time, Anthony's channel and street epistemology as a whole has become this incredibly kind-hearted venture that is just completely, built up this very warm and inviting and compassionate community.
I watched his channel.
Yeah,
I think I did.
Dig it.
Yeah.
So I would say look at stuff online, get a copy of the book, this kind of thing.
We've got a few minutes before we've got to get ready for the Atheist Experience.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry to keep you on line.
No. We did.
You waited this entire time, too.
I'm a talky person.
That's okay.
No.
I really appreciate everything, guys. You guys are the best. I have you still on big screen.
Oh, yay. We think you're awesome, too.
Yeah, all right. I will contact you by email, okay?
All right.
Sounds good.
And tell those people, don't stress, okay? Don't sweat the small stuff. Everything will work itself out.
Yeah.
Just give it some time. Give it some time. And
All
that
right.
Charles dude, whoa.
Yeah.
As a former Wiccan, he needs to really step up on the craft, okay? Because that's not what he's supposed to be doing.
Gotcha.
Especially when he's walking into a haunted house and he has no idea.
I love you, lady.
Yeah. Well, we got to get off the line, but we're definitely going to talk to you about former Wiccan stuff. But thanks for calling in again.
No problem, you guys. You guys have a great day.
You too.
You too. All righty then. I think we've
had some amazing donations that have been coming in. Yeah.
We've had incredible donations.
Really quick, can we get a camera to the back and see the amazing people
Let's see the crew
who make this happen? No, it's not set up. Damn it.
All right. Well,
then we need to say personally, Mark, running video. You are amazing. Thank you so much. Silas, running audio today. You are a freaking superhero. Chelsea, who has been screening the calls and who's been going through and making sure that we've got some amazing conversations.
Yeah, done a good job of it too.
Yeah, and she's been gone for a little while, and we missed the hell out of her. So,
glad to have you back.
Right?
Yeah.
That said, live studio audience, thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah.
We are. We still have 851 people watching. Let's smash that like button. Let's hit subscribe. And if you haven't gotten notifications, hit that bell and it'll notify you when the show's about to come on. If you want to get that reminder, again, patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. You can check us out: Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Discord. We're trying our best to meet you where you're at.
If not everyone watching hits the like button, but less than half, like, come on.
Stay tuned.
Make the decision of whether or not to like with a coin flip, and we will have more likes. Smash that like button, but not so hard you break your computer.
So let's do our first closeout for 2019, season 3, episode 1.
Love rings.
Next
community
week,
is here.
No Illusions is going to be here with us. If you don't believe,
your community is everywhere.
And you're welcome to it.
If you do believe we don't hate you, we just think you're wrong.
We don't hate you, we just think you're wrong. Is this a new thing? I love this. This makes me, I'll take that. I like it.